Some of you out there are probably thinking, I need to buy a home and it's my first time, so what do I do? Well, I am going to give you 10 tips on first-time home buying. Now I'm going to break this down over 3 videos because it's a lot of information and I don't want you to get bored with me. So get ready for the 10 tips for first-time home buying. Hey, William Corbett here with Port City Living at EXP Realty, serving the Greater Wilmington, North Carolina area. If you haven't been by my channel before, welcome. You might want to consider subscribing and hitting that bell, because every week I upload new videos and I talk about real estate topics and things having to do with the Wilmington area. If you have been here before, welcome back. So today we're going to talk about first-time home buying and everything that's involved. So my top 10 tips are coming up, and again I'm going to do this in 3 videos so that you don't get bored because it's a lot of information. 90% of this information I'm going to give you would carry over from state to state. So if you're not buying in Wilmington or even in North Carolina, you probably can use this basic information anywhere you go. So are you ready? Because we're going to dive right in. So the first tip I want to talk about is basically just preparing yourself, making sure that you're ready and able to buy. One of the first things you might want to do is consider talking to a lender and checking your credit score, or you can actually do that on your own. You can go to myfica.com or Credit Karma and you can have that information pulled to see what your credit score is. 640 is about as low as you want to be when it comes to trying to qualify for a loan. Although there are some lenders out there that will take a lower credit score, but you're going to pay for it when it comes to that rate for sure. So down payment is something that you need to think about. Do I have to have one? If I do, where is it going to come from? You can expect to pay about 3.5% for an FHA loan. However, if you're military or retired military, you could always use your VA eligibility for 100% financing. There is a USDA loan program, and that's typically for the more rural areas of the county, which will also allow you for 100% financing. There's grants and then sometimes some down payment assistant programs. So there's lots of options out there. You just need to work with your lender to figure out what's best for you. You have to calculate for closing costs. That could be a large chunk of money that the bank charges you to basically give you the money to buy your home. Also included in those closing costs will be your attorney's fees. In North Carolina, we use attorneys to close loans, so his fees or her fees will be also lumped into that amount there too. Closing costs could be as much as 3%. So if you're looking at a $200,000 purchase price, you're looking at $6,000 potentially for closing cost. Now, in some situations, you could potentially ask the seller to pay a portion of those closing costs for you, and that I have seen that happen. But that's something that we have to kind of figure out when it's time to make an offer. Consider your work history. Have you been gainfully employed for the past year or 2 in the same line of business? That's something that the lender is going to look at to see if you are a viable candidate for a loan. You also want to think about other monies that you may have as far as income. Are you going to use child support? Are you going to use alimony? So if you have those things, you might want to report them so that you can use those as income. You want to think about savings. Do you have a lot of savings in the bank? Or do you have just enough money for your closing costs and your down payment? You know, is that a smart thing to do? Because if something goes wrong in your house, you're not going to be able to pick up the phone and call your landlord and say, hey, fix my water heater. That's something that you're going to have to do. So you're going to have to remember that those things that fall apart and break on houses, and houses do, then it's going to be your responsibility. So you need to have a little cushion or a little nest egg stuck away in case you do need a new roof, or in case you do need a water heater, or somebody slams a baseball or a rock through your window and you got to have it replaced. Some of this stuff obviously could be covered by homeowner's insurance, but it depends on the type you have. You also have to consider, you know, if you buy a house with a yard, if you haven't had one before, you got to take care of the yard. Who's going to mow it? Who's going to edge it? Are you going to have the money to hire a landscape person to do it if you're not able to do it? So there's lots of things to consider when buying a home, not just, oh, I'm going to buy a house and everything's going to be fine and normal. You got to consider all the components to it. And I think something that's very important that a lot of first-time home buyers don't understand, and that you need to monitor and maintain your house just like you would your car. You would get your oil changed like every couple of months or every couple of miles, however many you're supposed to. You also want to have your HVAC checked out like once a year or once at least every 2 years, just to make sure that it's in proper working order. Because you have to think about, if you ever decide to go and sell this house, you want the product of your property to be the best it can be. So you may have to spend a little money to upgrade things so that you can get the best price for it when you go to sell. Tip number 2 is finding a realtor, such as myself. So it's important when you go to find a real estate agent to help you locate the perfect home that you ask them some questions. More importantly is that you need to know that when you do hire that real estate agent to help you find a home, you pay them nothing. Buyer agents work for free until the deal closes. The seller is the one that pays the commission for both the listing agent and the buying agent. So remember that. So when you go to hire that agent, remember, you're not paying them anything. They're doing a lot of work for free for at least 30 days for you until that deal closes. But some of the questions that you want to ask that agent is, how many deals do you do during the year? How many deals do you do during the month or at one time? If an agent says, I do 15 deals at once, are they going to be able to give you the customer service that somebody that does maybe like 2 or 3 deals a month? Customer service is very important with me because I've been in customer service all my life, and I feel like when people want answers, they deserve them as quickly as humanly possible. And some people can't always accommodate. So if that's important to you, you might want to not necessarily go with the most famous or the most busiest or the most a successful real estate agent in town, because you might not get the customer service that you need and deserve. Another question is, do you work part-time or do you work full-time? Again, if the agent says, well, I work part-time and I do my other job while my business is building up, are they going to be available to you to go see houses when you want to see them? Especially if it's a hot market and things go quickly, you want people to get on them as fast as possible. But if they're working another job and they're not available to you, then what are you going to do? You're probably going to go find somebody else. So that's another important question. You want to ask that agent if you can see their testimonials. Get them to share that information with you. Ask if you can call or send a text to those people and just say, hey, how is it working with this agent? And get them to tell you. So finding the agent is tip number 2, and it's very important. Tip number 3 is getting pre-approved. Now, I almost think it's more important to get approved before you find a realtor. But if you come to a realtor first, we have a list of lenders that we enjoy working with. We've built a relationship with them over the years. I have several that I work with. And we build relationships because, one, they might communicate well like we do. They might, they do things quickly. And that's very important because parts of the lending process can take a while, especially when it comes to the appraisal. So finding a lender is very important. We don't get any kickbacks as realtors when we refer you to anybody when it comes to an outside vendor. We just have good working relationships with people and relationships that we have built over the years. So the reason you want to get pre-approved is so that when you make an offer on a property, you have all your little ducks in a row. And you can put that approval letter with that offer and say, I am ready to go, I am serious, and I am ready to play the game. So it's very important to go ahead and do that first, or come to us and we'll help you find a lender. But if you already have a lender, that's fine too. But it's very important to go ahead and get pre-approved before you make an offer. Okay, so we got through the first 3 of 10 tips on first-time home buying. I hope you enjoyed that information. If you have any questions at all, you can always post down below and ask. You can also remember to subscribe and hit that little bell, because I do upload stuff every week, and I'm getting ready to film the next 2 videos in this series talking about first-time home buyers. So if you enjoyed this, look for the rest, because there is a lot more to come. Lots more to come. See you soon. Hey, if you like this video you heard today, hit the subscribe button and show me some love. Also remember, use your blinker. Hey everyone, I'm William Corbett with Port City Living at EXP Realty, serving the Greater Wilmington, North Carolina area. If you haven't been by dang it.